Hello everyone, welcome to Officer 24/7. My name is Niharika Bhatnagar and I'm with you with the era of CAIIB ABFM. First of all, happy Holi everyone. On the eve of Holi, we are first of all celebrating Holi today plus with some important sessions of ABFM examination. In terms of ABFM, a few chapters plays more important roles than others. So keeping in mind this particular area, I am sharing a few important topics in this particular session. But before I proceed further, everyone, please go ahead and share the session among your peers, and at the same time like it, subscribe to our channel, and at the same time the sale is going on. Hurry up, use the code Y541 and get maximum discount right away. My name is Niharika Bhatnagar and I am with you with the area of ABFM. Okay, this is the second class for our series regarding the examination of ABFM. I've started with the module A, unit number 1, that is basics of management. So till now we have covered the basics yesterday. So I'm continuing with the same today. Acha, we are also sharing the PDFs with this particular class. So what you can do is please go ahead and download it. These things are really important. The reason is that by the end now most of the bankers are looking forward towards questions to practice. Where are we making the questions from? I am making questions strictly from the IBF book. I don't make questions from anywhere else. So then these kind of classes, when you are keeping the question bank with you, you have so many questions to practice by the time you are preparing for the examination. Different questions, then different kinds of questions, then different kind of languages, tough, easy. All those things are going to help you a lot in your examination. So please make sure when you are looking forward to all these things, you are absolutely clear about it. Okay. Now let's talk about the class there. If you like this particular session, go ahead and click on the thumbs up there. Along with that, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, go ahead and subscribe the same. And stay tuned. I am meeting you every single day at the same time. So in the morning, we'll be studying ABFM. So kindly be there every single day and study properly. If not morning, then go ahead and watch the recordings as well. And let me know if you have any doubts. You can write it in the comment section. I'll go through that particular topic and we'll make an MCQ in the upcoming classes so that your doubts are covered properly. So go ahead and utilize the particular comment section. Okay, now we were talking about basics of management. We talked about Taylor. We talked about fuel yesterday. Now we are going to talk about the next level. We're going to talk about the people who have the classic thought process. The people who believed that productivity was more important. Then came the people like fuel who believed nahi, new classical theorists who said ki nahi, humans are also important. Then there were certain people who believed in statistics. Ki, Haji, what was the productivity? What was the particular time period? What is the number of hours which is required? They're just worried about quantity. That is quantitative school. So there are so many different schools. Along with that, once the new classical theorists came, they always talked about motivation. Achha, now motivation is a very broader term if I tell you. One is intrinsic. I myself felt I want to do this. That is intrinsic. And if it is not about that part, if it is talking about my broader view of about things, then it is something that I can state is I can say that if I talk about motivation and all, in the broader term, it is intrinsic is the inner feeling. And extrinsic is I saw a very good phone in your hand, and that is a phone which is not affordable by normal people. It can be afforded only if you have good amount of money in your pocket. That is an extrinsic motivation. You have that, even I want that thing. That is extrinsic motivation. So all these things are covered in this particular chapter. Along with it, they've talked about strategic management, they have talked about the levels, they have talked about all the functions of management as well. All these things we'll be covering up in today's class, so stay tuned, and if you haven't liked it yet, go ahead and like it first. Okay everyone, here comes the topic management. As I told you in the yesterday's class itself, management itself is managing people to get the work done through others. Basically, management, if I talk about, given in the CBSE books, they used to state, because I think as a commerce student, I started studying management when I was in +1, +2 only. So then that is how you start learning it. There it was clearly written, management means getting the work done through others. Matlab, you don't do the work, you get the work done through others. But you have to convince them to work for you to that extent, to give their maximum hard work and everything in their work, isn't it? That is art. and we are dealing with humans, everyone. So obviously humans are something which are unpredictable when it comes to their working. So you have to keep on being on toes, because ultimately if you're not on toes, then it is hard to deal with humans. So that's the complexity of the mind and how they work. Anyhow, this is here this topic starts. How I'm sorry, it says, how does the planning influence other functions of management? It simplifies all other functions. It has no influence on other functions. It has considerable influence on other functions, or it limits the scope of other functions. But Fayol was the person who gave Henry Fayol, the person who gave the 5 functions of management that we study today. Now, if I have to define how do we learn it, you can learn it by POSDC. In actual, now he had given post CU, Postco. And then there were 2 people, Urvik and Gulik. They gave RB. Matlab the entire acronym which is used for this is PostCorp. P for planning, O for organizing, then we have staffing, I'm sorry, then we have directing, then we have controlling, then this is where the entire modern functions of management ends. The remaining 2, actually he gave coordinating there, but we call it controlling, because controlling is the point, coordinating is essence. It keeps everything together, because if humans don't coordinate, the plan is not possible. You cannot organize things, you cannot do anything, right? So we are left with 2 points. One is reporting, this is budgeting. So these are the important elements or the functions of management. Now, if I say that planning doesn't have anything to do with other things, you will be like, hold it. Isn't it wrong? I'll say, yep, it is. Because planning is the main source of working. Planning is something I can define as the base for doing everything. So it simplifies all of the functions. Yes, it does. It has no influence on other functions. It has a very strong influence. Think about it. If I tell you ABFM, okay, we can finish it in just a day. You don't need to spend a good amount of time. What will you do? You will not study for the next 6 months, and you'll just study one day before the examination. What are you preparing for? I gave you a wrong plan. The execution went down the drain. The result was something which only God knows, right? Then it has considerable influence on others. It definitely has, or it limits the scope of other functions. It just cannot limit the scope of other functions, because planning lays down the foundation. First of all, I planned कि पता है, we will start our working on this particular day. Then we organized. Then we did the directing. Then we got people into the organization. We told them how to do the work. And then we did the controlling part. So it goes in a circular motion. It can be said it has a considerable influence over the others. It just doesn't work blindly and separately too. Then in organizing, what becomes more complex and significant as the business grows? Task management, decision making, task coordination, or organizational structuring. What becomes more complex? Uh, when the business grows, one of the most important thing that happens is you start working on a larger scale. When you're working on a larger scale, obviously things become um, more or less unpredictable. It becomes more challenging. And what happens is, see, if you've seen the working of Twitter, they had a different set of working. Now it is under Tesla. Elon Musk has bought it, so the entire working has been changed. What they used to have was one particular person, there is a manager. Then this particular person, there's another manager. So the people had this kind of managers kind of thing. That became more and more complex. Why? Because they were adding more and more people in the line of managers, and they had to. because they needed people to be handled properly. That is organizational structure. Task management becomes easier when you are decentralized. Technically, if you become bigger, even you can manage your task. Decision making is still in the hands of top management, so you don't really have to worry about it. Though task coordination becomes difficult because now there is not 1 or 2%, there might be 400, 500 people working in the organization. So the last point is organizational structuring, which is super important, and that's the most complex part. So the answer is organizational structuring. What is a key consideration in organizing functions as the business grows? Simplifying tasks, defining and classifying work activities, reducing the complexity of the organizational structure, or um, decreasing the importance of task coordination. What is the key consideration of the organizing functions? If we look at the most important considerations which have to be taken care of when we talk about organizing function, uh, organizing is what? Making sure that you have made a plan and you are working towards the plan. So in this case, the correct answer would be it defines and classifies the work activities. Basically, planning defines the plan, and then you have to arrange the resources to execute the plan. So when you're trying to execute the plan, you have to accept the challenges and you have to work towards solving the problems. So in this case, the answer would be defining and classifying the work activities. What does the directing function management involve? Planning and organizing, then guiding and supervising, recruitment and selection, controlling and coordinating. When we talk about directing means giving instructions to people, supervising them, motivating them when they feel that sometimes we all go through this. That is, we all feel very low in terms of our working there. We just feel that something is just not right. That happens. Then at the same time, we communicate. That's all because of directing. So in this case, it is the guiding and the supervising subordinates. Now they have it like S, M, L, and C. These are the four different elements of directing. What are those? Number one, supervision. Number two, motivation. Number three is leadership. Number four is communication. These are the four elements of directing. Guiding and supervising is one of them, right? So this is directing for you. This point, what is the key aspect of communication in directing function? One way communication hindrance, two way or limited communication. Hindrances has to be eliminated. Limited communication is never healthy. So these two have to be gone. One way communication means I am continuously telling you. What happens is when we're taking classes online, you're just talking to the camera. So that's why we always say, please write in the comment section, like the classes. That's how we get to interact with you now. So if it turns one way, it is very depressing. If this happens in our working, think about it. If I keep on saying, and you don't say a word, then after a certain period of time, I'll be quiet. I'll be like, I don't know whether the person is listening to me or not even. So technically, that is two-way communication which is required. I raise a question, you answer. You raise a query, I answer. Those kind of things, that is a two-way communication. If I ask you, if we look forward towards the service sector, what they do, they provide a service, then you give the feedback. Those kind of things are super important. Now, how does the management contribute to achieving group goals? By ignoring external business environment, by continuous adjustment with external environment, by avoiding improvement in decision quality, or by limiting control over business functions. Okay, when we talk about how does the management contribute to achieving group goals, we are looking at achieving the group goals,
Then in terms of achieving the group goals, you can achieve the group goals by continuous adjustment with the external environment. If you are so stubborn that I will not change if the world changes, then how will you survive in the market? um, if this would have happened, the technologies which at one point of time were the leaders, they wouldn't have been vanished altogether. iPad was such a hit. Now it is nowhere used. We all have got our phones. Everything is there in the phone. Matlab, this phone has everything that we talk about. We don't need a watch. We don't need a torch. We don't need a particular camera. We don't need a speaker. We don't need anything when it comes to this phone. So if this technology is not taken up, then all these particular things would have died. They just kept on improving themselves. Laptops kept on improving. Now the phones have got almost everything that we need. But that particular phone has become everything. So they had to keep on adjusting themselves because you have to become more valuable to the organization to remain in it, isn't it? That's why you study about JIB and CIB. Otherwise, why would you do it? You want to become more important for the organization. You want to grow further, isn't it? Then, how does the management act as a friend, philosopher, and guide to employees? By creating obstacles. If they do that, then it's a negative organization culture, which leads to toxicity among the people, and ultimately they become very irregular in their work, very normal. By limiting support, if your support is limited, people will get irritated. They would be like, if there's no support, then why am I working in the organization? By guiding, providence, and support, that's supposed to be the answer there. Because why? When we talk about management, it has to be very clear about the fact that you are providing good guidance. You're telling people what to do, what not to do. That particular part has to be very, very clear when it comes to the working. Then the answer is by providing guidance and support, right? So in this case, the correct answer is by providing guidance and support. Then, how does innovation on part of management help an organization? How is innovation so important? If we do not innovate, how will we get the things? By limiting competition? Uh, no, not really. By hindering growth, by staying ahead of competition, or by avoiding creativity. Acha, with this now I remember a very interesting thing. Maybe you correlate with it. One thing is to stand in the storm, face it, and one thing is what eagles do. They go above the clouds. You're not facing the storm, you're just enjoying the scene. Now, that particular thing, organizations have started doing this. You know your competitor is he's getting the market. Why am I not taking the market? For that particular thing, what is it that is required by me? If you have to stay ahead of the competition, you have to bring product differentiation. Product differentiation comes when you are putting an extra effort in your product. Your product has to be something so important, so different that people run for it. And that chase for that particular product will never be the same. So you will have to keep on innovating. So if you want to stick in the market, by staying ahead in the competition will save you there. You will sustain. Then comes, according to the Maslow, when does a person advance to the next level of needs? This kind of question was asked in the examination. That was regarding the steps which are there in the Maslow's need hierarchy theory. They talked about the second step. So I think what I'll do is in the upcoming classes or in the PDF maybe, I'll just share the pyramid structure of the hierarchy of the needs. In terms of hierarchy, he talks about roti kabada makan. I would need food, I would need shelter, I would need area to sleep, I need to eat. So, right, food, shelter, clothing. Roti, kapda, makan. That is the basic things. Roti means the food that we eat. Kapda is the cloth, and makan is the house in the Hindi. This is how we define. This is the basics. Now, when you have got it, you will pray to God ki Bhagwan, if I've got it now, it stays on my head. That means you want security and safety. That is where once you have got safety and security needs, then you have got a place to live, and you know this is the place you're gonna live in. Then you will look at in your society and then say, "Okay, I want to have love and belonging needs. I hope I know other people who are living around." Then you're looking forward towards the true love of your life. You're looking forward to a spouse because you have a specific job, you have a good house, you have got everything, and that is for long term. Then that is love. Then once you have got love and belongingness, you belong to a place, people belong to you. You're done with that. Then comes self esteem. Acha, among all these people, I should be above them. I should not be. only with them. I should be above them. And then once you're done with this part as well, then comes the next level. That is, you've got what you needed. Now, where is self actualization? You are running towards finding what were you exactly chasing. That is Maslow's hierarchy theory, and the last step is self actualization. Enlightenment. What is it that you were always running towards in your life? Now comes when all the needs are satisfied, when the lower level needs is minimally satisfied, when the lower level needs is completely satisfied, or when the higher level needs is minimally satisfied. When we talk about Maslow now, Maslow believed, first of all, if I'm hungry, till the time there's nothing in my stomach now, I cannot think. Normally it happens with people. So according to him, whatever you are doing at the lower level, once you have achieved it, then you move to the next level. Once you have achieved the second level, then you move towards the third level. So, according to Maslow, you have to finish up what you are at the lower level. Then you reach at the higher. Okay. So, in this case, when the lower level is minimally satisfied now, then you move towards the next level. One, welcome to Officer 24/7. My name is Niharika Valia Bhatnagar, and I am with you with the area of ABFM. So, what am I going to cover today? As promised, there are two chapters which require extra efforts. First is sources of finance, and the second one is capital investment decisions. So these two chapters are going to take at least 2 classes. Rest everything would be covered in the given classes itself. Once you're done with this particular module, I'll move towards the revision of the same as well. So what am I dealing with today? My topic today is in continuation of module B, which has just started. So I'm starting with the area of sources of finance and financial strategies, everyone. Here comes the first question. It talks about the topic of internal accrual. Acha, everyone, we have talked about internal accrual in the last class as well. Internal accruals are those accruals or that part of the money which you have saved, right? That part of the money which you are saving for the future. Sometimes you give it to the people, sometimes you don't, right? If you're not sharing, then that part is to be considered here. So in this case, the correct answer is going to be profit, gross profit, and net profit, then profit before tax and general reserve. The point is, you have to pay tax first. So one part is you have to pay the tax. So profit after tax and non-cash and dividend distribution and cash profits. Acha, the portion that you give is dividend. So technically, can I say the portion that I'm giving to the person's dividend distribution is the portion that we are giving? So profit after tax and non-cash profits. This is the portion that we are supposed to keep. Okay? So the answer is actually C. Profit after tax or non-cash profits. Then comes why do regulators emphasize companies to retain a portion of their earnings? Regulators are emphasizing uh, companies to retain a portion of the earnings. Actually, there is a simple reason. Why do we save, everyone? I'll be saving money for my future. I don't know what kind of things are going to happen, so I'll just keep some funds. Not from the point of view, okay, maybe some problem will come, but maybe like if I get a particular bigger opportunity, I don't want to lose it at that point of time just because all the money would be blocked in my business. So one particular thought is I might need money in future. So savings is that part. To limit shareholders' returns or to encourage investments in the company, to ensure management salaries are sufficient. Management salaries are basically dealt with whatever money you are earning. So technically, no, that cannot be the point. To discourage companies from making profits, matlab this is something which is just not possible. In this case, the answer is going to be to encourage investments in the company, because once people see that you have invested or you have kept your money already in the business, their faith in your business will not only increase further, they will also put money thinking, acha, if this person himself is putting money, that means this company has something, right? Earlier this used to happen. Now though there are no share market gurus. Earlier when a share market guru used to say something, na, people used to follow them blindly. Now though things have changed because of the demat account, the entire working has changed altogether. Now it's very difficult to fool people, but easy in terms of the technological lack of technological knowledge they possess. That's the only problem where people lag behind. Otherwise, I think it has definitely become difficult because people are now more informed. Okay, what is the reason companies raise preference capital? Okay, I told you there are two kids in a family, equity and preference. Preference is that spoiled kid who's always asking for more. Ki, mama, if you are giving pocket money, I should be given first. The part of the dividend. That is the part of the profit which they receive. That is their dividend. Before equity, they should be paid, and at the same time, at the time of liquidation of the company, when the company is dying, they should be paid before them. So to dilute the equity holding, nope. To increase the voting rights, to maintain control over the organization, or as a good source of funds for a long period. Okay, they do not dilute the equity shareholding because the preference shareholder has no voting rights. Then is maintain control over management. They maintain, but this money is basically something which is a long term period good source. It's a very good source there. Then under the current provisions of the Companies Act 2013, what is the maximum period for redemption of preference shares? This is something which is very important because in terms of shares now we have two kind of shares, redeemable and irredeemable. I'm sorry. So the portion of the preference shares which is redeemable uh, is allowed in our country. Irredeemable preference shares are not allowed. Now, what do you mean by the term redemption? Nobody has asked me about it yet. Redemption means the amount that should be paid off. Okay, so these people should be paid off. 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, or 25 years. The payment to the equity shareholders is never made. Till the time the organization is alive, it is never paid. For the organizations which are dead, the organizations which do not exist, the organizations which are dying, for them there is nothing called redemption. They will receive the money. Okay, let me just simplify. Company issued preference shares. Company issued equity shares. Equity shareholder once has given money, his money remains invested in the organization till the time the organization is alive. When the company dies, all the assets are sold off and whatever cash is received is distributed among all the people, the creditors, the preference shareholders, the secured people, taxation, there are government, everybody takes up the money, and whatever is left goes to equity, normally almost nothing. Preference shareholders are a little smarter. They say dividend give me before equity. If the company is dying, before equity gets the money, you pay me. But normally what happens is, if you issue a preference share within the next 20 years, you will have to dispose this particular shareholding. 20 years, you don't have more than that. In the next 20 years, you will have to get rid of this particular shareholding. That means the preference shareholders are actually like a loan which we can take for maximum 20 years. And for that, we are paying dividend as well, part of as part of interest. Equity shareholders are the true owners. That is why they have the voting rights. There is no defined dividend for them. There is no defined time by what time they will receive their money. So they are the risk takers. So why would anybody else get that particular right? So in this case, the correct answer is actually 20 years. Based upon this, there are many types of preferences, starting from on the basis of redemption, on the basis of convertibility, then on the basis of participating and non-participating. That means if they have a particular benefit of being a part of the surplus of the organization. And the last one is participating, non-cumulative and non-cumulative. When the company says that the people are putting money into the business, well, let me tell you, on the basis of dividend accumulation, they have cumulative and cumulative. Dividend on the basis of participation, if the company is getting huge amount of surplus, Then they have participating and non-participating. Participating, non-participating, when we talk about convertibility, matlab the preference share which can be converted into equity shares, they become the actual owners. So that is convertible preference shares and non-convertible preference shares. Dividend, participation, convertibility. 3 done. Fourth one would be what? On the basis of redemption. First one is redeemable. This is the only type of on the basis of redemption, the debentures, the preference shareholders which are allowed. The redeemable preference shares, and then we have irredeemable. These are not allowed in India. You cannot issue irredeemable preference shares, everyone. So the answer in this case would be what? The answer would be based upon redemption. The answer was related to the area of redeemable preference shares in this case. So that means this is maximum by 20 years. These people have to pay it off. So in this case, we are covering all the different types of preference shares. Acha everyone, if this class is helping you out now, then please don't forget to like it, because when you like these kind of classes now, then it boosts our confidence, and I feel like let's come up with something new. Let's discuss a little more important aspect of the particular studies, because people are there. They're watching us. They are letting us know about where we can work upon more and all those things. Huh? Chaliye. Now let's move on towards the next point. What is the advantage of preference shares? Increases real cost of funding, improves the debt equity ratio, provides security to shareholders, enhances voting rights. Why is preference share important? It doesn't improve the debt equity ratio. It is still there in the same way. It provides security to the shareholders, that is true. It doesn't have anything to do with voting rights, and there is not even something related to the area of real cost of funding. It actually, that is, improves the debt equity ratio. Let's see. Sorry. In the debt equity ratio, sorry, equity and preference are written here. If this part increases, you know, if we talk about this is say 12 lakh, and earlier I had 2 lakh of equity, and right now I just got 4 lakh of preference shares. Earlier it was 12 divided by 2, that was 6:1, way too high. The company had a huge amount of debt. Now it is 12 lakh divided by 6 lakhs. So it would turn out to be 2:1. Right? This is the ideal ratio. So it's actually improving the ratio. Yes, it is the answer. See, the most important thing is, if you cannot find something, why don't you solve the question and ask it? The point is, whenever you are learning these concepts, you cannot learn them blindly. This means it should not be something that you are ratifying a particular statement. Okay, this is what happens, this is what happens. No, try it out. Look at the particular topic. Right? If you know the particular topic in and out, then you won't be having a problem. But if you don't know the topic, then there is a major problem. So in this case, it is the improvement of the debt equity ratio, and we have proved it here. How did we prove it? The debt equity ratio earlier was 6:1. As soon as we introduced the equity plus preference shares, the ratio went up to 2:1. Having 2:1 ratio, that means you have lessened the burden of debt, and your equity portion has definitely increased, right? So in this case, the portion is debt equity. Acha, equity includes both preference and equity, everyone. It doesn't mean only equity. It means both debt as well as both preference as well as equity shares. Okay, where is it? This includes both preference shares plus equity shares. Got the idea, everyone? So here comes the next point, everyone. What's the answer for this question? What's the answer, everyone? What is the drawback for the point of view of equity shareholders? Priority in liquidation, possibility of management interference, or non-deductible expenditure, or creation of redemption reserves. Uh, Equity shareholder do not have anything which is determined as a tax deductible expense. Matlab, whatever money they are getting, that is not treated as an expense for the company. Well, nothing stays in the company overall, but they are called the actual owners of the organization. So due to this reason, no, this is wrong. What is the drawback from point of view of equity? Acha, now if I'm looking at it from the point of view of equity shareholders, from the company point of view, it is non-deductible. Let me correct it. This is from the company point of view. I missed out on the point of view part. If I'm looking at the company point of view, from the company point of view, these people will interfere because they have the right to sit in the AGMs, annual general meetings. So yes, these people are going to affect the control. And otherwise, non-deductible expenditures are something that is from the company point of view. So these are from the point of view of the shareholder, from the company as well as from the. Acha, nahi. This is also nahi, this is also true. We are the point of view of equity shareholders. This is actually both of these satisfies from the point of view of company. The question needs a little rephrasing. Non-deductible expenditure is also from the company point of view. Possibility of management in interference. This is from the company as well, and that too from the area of equity shareholders, because the shareholders do not participate in management. The people who are participating in the management are not shareholders. Matlab, the true owners are not managing the business. So everybody who has the business will always be more vigilant because it is their money. Nobody else is going to use that money. So in this case, it is a little more challenging. Okay. What is the characteristic of term loans? Uh, what is the characteristic of term loans, everyone? Are the term loans long term or short term? Term loans are basically the loans which are taken for a longer period. है ना? Repayment is not required. Short-term loans are repaid within 10 years. Rates are determined based on the short-term prospects or used mainly for working capital needs. Achha, when we talk about this, the repayment is made towards the area of, that's not a short-term loan. Rates are determined based upon short-term. Uh, Term loans are basically the loans which are basically something which the rates are determined based on medium to long term prospects. It is based upon only and only the long term prospects, not short term. So actually, this was not there. There has been some issue. The answer has to be medium to long term. Term loans means the long term ones. Benefits of taking these loans, very beneficial, because ultimately you just have to pay off these loans and you don't have the pressure to pay it off right away. You can take 2 years, you can take 3 years, you can take 4 years, you can take as many years as you want without any fuss and fuss. You know, that is what you would want, that there is no pressure on you when you're taking these loans. Acha, next is working capital term loan, WCTL. When we talk about working capital term loans, why would you take it? The working capital term loans are taken because of only one specific reason. That is, you are trying to run your business, right? You have to pay electricity expenses, water expenses, all those expenses has to be paid. So in this case, a long-term loan against fixed assets, a short-term loan for working capital needs, a type of normal term loan given by any bank, or a loan against personal assets. Working capital term loans are those loans which we have taken on the area of short-term loans, basically just to meet your daily needs of the organization. Because the daily needs of the organization includes many things: salary, electricity, water expenses, as well as the regular working of the organization. They have to pay wages, they have to pay for repairs and everything, है ना? ठीक है? Done? So in this case, the answer is B only. The short-term loan for the working capital needs. Welcome to Officer 24/7. My name is Niharika Walia Bhatnagar and I am with you with the area of ABFM. Acha everyone, till now, what have we finished off? We are done with the entire area of the um, module A completed. Module B, till the module B, what are we done with? Till if we talk about module B, we are done till the area of sources of finance, all sorted. I think in the last class what we did was sources of nahin, we did the area of leverages as well, है ना? Leverages is also over. What next are we going to talk about today? It is module B, capital investment decisions. Everyone, I told you in the very beginning itself that this chapter is very, very important. Reason, this chapter is the base for module C, many chapters, not one, not two, but also for module B, the next chapter as well. If you have done this chapter well, then that chapter is also in your hand. So technically, you will have to do this part properly. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for you to understand the further points. So let's talk about capital investment decisions, everyone. Um, when I wanted to buy my car now, I think I went to multiple areas. I had to go to multiple areas because I was getting a car, and a car which I'm going to use for not 1 year, not 2 year, not 3 years. I was supposed to use it for so many years, you know, isn't it? At least 10 years normally. If I get a specific car, then I'm going to use it for at least 10 to 12 years, right? So when we are going for such a thing, how are we going to work, everyone? Matlab, I have to make a decision now. But how will I make a decision? Shall I just go for a specific car, maybe because the car is of 8 lakhs, maybe the car is of 12 lakhs, the car which has a lesser price, I should go for this rather than going for this. But maybe this car has more engine capacity, well, this might have a little lesser one because the price is less, so then they have given lesser features. But this particular car might be having a lesser average, but this car might be having a greater average. This happens, right? So if I'm looking for my business, what will I do? Even if the engine capacity is good for the 12 lakh car, might be going for the 8 lakh car. Reason, the average is more. In my business, it is very important that my cost is recovered. So if I want to recover my cost, I will have to reduce the cost further. So technically, when we talk about capital investment decisions, matlab, think about it, everyone. Before buying a car, even I was thinking about average. I was thinking about the model. I was thinking about the accessories. Rather, I've just talked about hardly a few things. I think when we are buying a car, there are other things that we take care of. What is the amount of EMI that will come up? And if I'm paying the down payment, what amount of down payment I'm doing? Matlab, if I'm buying a car, I'm going to do this. If I'm buying a phone, I do the same level of homework, don't we? If I have to buy a phone, I just don't go randomly. Aaj, I'll just buy the phone. We're going to look into the future We're going to look into the features of that particular phone. This particular phone should not be an older one, because if it's an older version, then after a few years I'll still again have to go ahead and change it. So whenever I buy a phone, I'll have to make sure that my phone should be as per the current scenario. It should be of the latest. The latest models are required, because if I have the latest model right away, then I won't have a problem. In the next 2-3 years, that particular phone is good to go, right? So that kind of clarity now is required when I'm buying my personal assets. So think about it. If I'm buying a machinery, I'm buying a particular, I'm trying to introduce a specific plant that will increase my utilization capacity to a major limit. I'm trying to maintain my books of accounts. I'm trying to increase my returns. So when I'm thinking about all these things, everyone, can I be blind about it? I just can't be. How am I going to work? Basically, in terms of capital, budgeting, decisions, what are we doing? Under the capital budgeting decisions, we are making sure that the organization decides how is it going to buy those assets, at what price are they buying those assets, and how these assets would be beneficial for the organization, and the returns of it, whether they are going to make some returns or it's just gonna be some random investment. Think about it, everyone. If I spent say 12 lakh for my car, do you really think I can come back and as soon as my car is out of the showroom, I'll say that, oh ho, I made a mistake, let's go back and sell this car again? No, once I've got the car, whatever happens, I will never get the same price, even if I've just taken it out of the showroom. That's the reality, right? When we talk about I've just bought a phone, I just opened the seal. At that very moment, nobody's gonna buy the same phone. Even he'll be thinking the seal is open, this must be a used one. It doesn't matter whether it wasn't used. So clearly, the value of the assets goes down as soon as someone understands ki this is just bought by someone else. I'm the second user. No matter you are the second user or not. So when we talk about this area, this happens. So when we talk about capital budgeting, they're going to talk about this thing. Ki sir, are we getting any returns or not? This is the point which is required in every business. So here comes the first point. What is the incremental principle of in investing projected cash flows? Acha, what do they do? If I set up a plant, what will happen? The very first thing that I'd have to think about is the inflows and outflows that I'm going to make. Let's talk about it. Just a moment. I decided to start with my business now. My cash flows. I invested 8 lakhs, say. In the first year, I received 1 lakh. In the second year, I received 4 lakh. In the third year, I received 2 lakh. In this case, over the next 4-5 years, I'm going to make some returns out of it. So first of all, I'll always review that I have spent 8 lakh. You know, if this business is going to give me some benefits, only then I think I can look forward towards this area, isn't it? I will try to grow my business. I will try to look forward towards the uh, returns. All those things can happen only and only when we are thinking about um, the returns. So technically, this is the basic reason through which you can find out whether you are getting the returns or not, right? Let's talk about it. Separate the investment side from the finance side in terms of cash flows. Really? Can we do that? Can we separate the investment side from the finance side? If I take a loan or something, where would we put it? Then next is consider post-tax cash flows. Next, we consider estimate separately the cost incurred if the project is not run. Collate all components of cash flows. What am I going to do? Let's look at it. In this area, we have estimate the cost and incurred if the project is not run. Now, what do you mean by this? In terms of cash flows, when we're talking about the capital investment decisions, obviously I'm putting money into something and I always look forward to an investment and I'm always looking forward towards returns. Without returns, there is no fun. So we have to estimate separately the cost incurred if the project is not run. That means what is the amount that I have to incur as an operating cost when I'm trying to run this business. That's the first point that I'm worried about. Okay. Then what does the consistency principle emphasize in the estimation of project cash flows? Acha everyone, if I start a business, then obviously I'm trying to find out. Actually, I'm not starting the business yet. Maybe I would have started the business. I'm just trying to increase it further. So one problem is that what is the particular thing that's going to happen in future? I have to be futuristic as well. Na? That means if I put 100 rupees into the business, how that 100 rupees is going to grow? Say, obviously it's not about 100 rupees, it's always like in lakhs or in crores right now. Then only the business starts thinking about the futuristic point of view. In the beginning you are just putting the money into the business till the time you don't really make that thing work out, right? So what does the consistency principle emphasize in the estimation of project cash flows? Consistency in tax payments, consistency in discounting, consistency in financing, consistency in investing. Acha. Consistency principle, consistency means same thing going on, है ना? Everyone, I used one method to calculate the true value of investments, or we utilize this particular point of it is called, what is it called? It is called time value of money. Just a moment, I'm writing it here. It's called time value of money. So if I invest money today, over the period of time, the inflation and everything else definitely reduces the value of the money overall. Or if I say it in a different way, if I put money in the present, if obviously in the future we'll have interest on it, then by the end of the year, what are we going to have? This is present and this is your future value. And if I know that after 10 years I will get 10 rupees, I will get 12 rupees, 14 rupees, 10th, 11th, 13th year. So what is the value of it today? Remove the portion of interest. You will get the present value. So we have to calculate the present value to find out whether, obviously I cannot anticipate what's going to happen in future, but I can see that at present, are we making any profit out of it or it is useless? है ना? So in this case, what are we going to do? We have to look forward towards consistency in discounting. है ना? So in this case, tax payments, financing, investment, these are basic things. When we talk about the projected cash flows, whatever method we are doing in terms of coming back from a future to the present, that is covered in this area. So technically, the answer here is discounting, consistency in discounting. Acha, what does the duration for which working capital is required depend upon? Long-term funding, operating cycle of the business, short-term funding or short-term financing, or fixed asset requirements. Duration of working capital. Acha, working capital is the money that is required in the business for for the entire period. That means every year we are trying to produce something. You know, matlab say I produce uh, I produce a Rolls Royce. Normally, a Rolls Royce takes around 6 months to be produced. One particular car, they take around 6 months. So for 6 months, they're just putting money into it, money, 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 and then after 6 months, this is sold. So you receive your money after 6 months. So during this 6 months, you have to pay your selling, your people there who are working with you. You don't have to not only pay them, but you will have to also pay other areas as well. Who is it, everyone? You will have to pay for the working. You will have to pay the people for their overall, not only the work, I would say, you also pay for the electricity, you also pay for the water expenses, you also pay for multiple things, isn't it? If you're paying for the multiple things, what are you going to do? Where you will arrange this amount? Because it will take 6 months to receive back the money. You are using working capital amount, which is utilized during the operating cycle of the business. Okay, that's the answer. The answer is B, operating cycle of the business. Acha, another interesting question, longer question, but I would say a very beneficial question for you. Out of the following alternatives, methods of project evaluation and selection used in capital budgeting, which one of the combinations in the code corresponds to discounted cash flow methods? IRR, payback, internal rate of return, payback, profitability, or net present value? profitability index, that is PI, and NPV. They are asking about the method which is used in the area of capital budgeting, and alternative methods of capital budgeting and selection used in capital budgeting. Which one of the following is discounted? Acha. The core word here is discounted, everyone. The methods which are using and accepting the portion of time value of money. Okay, so in this case the answer is going to be time value of money. Based upon this, we have IRR is based upon time value of money, PI is also based upon time value of money, NPV is also based upon time value of money. So the answer is 134. This is not the answer. This is also not the answer. This 234. No, there it is, 134. B has got 1, 3 and 4. So the correct answer in this area would be B, 1, 3 as well as 4, everyone. Got the idea? Okay, now let's move on towards the next question, everyone. Which of the following is not true with reference to capital budgeting? Capital budgeting is related to asset replacement decisions, or cost of capital is equal to minimum required return, or existing investment in the project is not treated as sunk cost. Timing of cash flows is relevant. Timing of cash flows is definitely relevant, because if you are receiving the money over a longer period of time, that means you're going to receive more money, but the return should be good. If you're getting pennies and whatever number of years it takes, how does it matter? Then, so 1 point that is true is timing is relevant. Capital budgeting is related to the area of asset replacement decisions. Yeah, it is. Sometimes we're just thinking about changing a particular asset. I had a particular asset which was in use. I can actually think about repairing it further or buying a new asset. Hai na? I have a car. I'm using it for the last 8 to 10 years. So in the last 8 to 10 years, I'd been using it and I realized that the repair cost is increasing. So shall I get it repaired again, or shall I buy a new car and get rid of this operating cost which I'm incurring every single day? Hai na? That is, you are thinking about this part. The capital budgeting is related to the asset replacement decision. In this case, this one is correct as well. Cost of capital is equal to minimum required return. Again, this is the point where everything will turn out to be positive. If I require 10% and the asset is giving me 10%, cool. This is where I will accept that particular offer. Otherwise, why will I accept the offer? If it is more than that, then it is something that, like, I would say cherry on the top. Okay, I wanted this much amount and I'm getting that much amount. The last is existing investment in the project is not treated as sunk cost. Again, a true point, but it has one problem. Existing investment in the project, no. The point is, everyone, I already had a car which is worth rupees 10 lakhs. The worth rupees 10 lakhs is not relevant. The repair that I am going to do is relevant. Rest everything is irrelevant. So existing investment in the project is not treated as a sunk cost. This is wrong. That's a sunk cost. Sunk cost means the cost which is just like Titanic. It has sunk. Matlab, it was done earlier. It has nothing to do with present. We would be worried about the present when we are talking about present. Hai na? That means if we are evaluating a specific course, we are evaluating a specific course of action that we are about to take. We are thinking about a business that we are trying to buy. All these things are true, but till the time we are not buying that particular asset, how can we look forward to it? And other than that asset, nothing else is important. Done? So the answer is existing investment in the project is not treated as sunk cost. Acha, next point. In the capital budgeting, the term capital rationing implies that no retained earnings are available, that limited funds are available for the investments, that no external funds can be raised, or that no fresh investments is required in the current year. In the capital budgeting, वैसे तो there is no point where we can actually say that there is no fresh investment is required. You might require fresh investments at any point of time. You know, there is no retained earnings are available. We're looking at the various assumptions. But this kind of question has been asked in the examination. And one more thing that we have to really worry about is these kind of questions are actually coming in the examination. What they do is they play with your mind. Now, the capital investment decisions is frankly the numerical chapter. But if such a question comes, what will you do? In the first case, that no retained earnings are available, we are not worried about this. Capital rationing is actually about, I have 10 lakh rupees, where would I put it? Capital investment is basically where I put it, A or B or C. Am I putting in A, B or C? Where am I putting it? Now in terms of capital rationing, you are doing the rationing part. That means A requires 2 lakh, give it to it. B requires 3 lakh, give it to it. C requires 5 lakh, and actually they deserve this amount. Not only requirement, we have to check now if I'm putting money, whether I'm getting the money back or not. That is what we'll see. So in this case, the correct answer is there's a limited fund available. So the first is not correct. Third is also not correct. Only the second point is correct. That the limited funds are available for investment. Which of the following equates the present value of cash outflows and present value of expected cash inflows from a project? NPV, IRR, payback, ARR, accounting rate of return, and IRR is internal rate of return. These are just the mini terms that we use. So everybody, what's the answer? Which one of the following equates the PV? Out of outflows and PV inflows equates. Acha, everyone. NPV says if your NPV, that is your present value minus your initial investment, is positive, then we accept, or otherwise if it is negative, we reject. So technically this particular thing doesn't really help us. This is not equates. Payback period is not discounted at all. It is not related to the present value at all. So this is also out of the league. Accounting rate of return is also non-discounted method. It is also out of the league. This IRR is the answer, everyone. How do we say IRR? In this case, your present value is equal to your initial investment. That is where we accept it. Okay? The answer is internal rate of return. So that's it for the day, everyone. I hope this session was helpful for you, and if it was, please don't forget to like it. Your motivation is something that keeps me going in the examination for sure. So when we are looking forward towards this series, we are almost at the mid of the module B as well. So please keep on liking as well as sharing this session. It is very important that more and more people can join in, and then I can come up with more and more such questions for your examination. And everyone, please go ahead and download the PDFs of the same as well, so that you can get something out of it now whenever you need for the examination. So everything is required in terms of examination. Whatever is required, basically I'm putting it up. Just do one part for me, that is prepare properly, and whenever you feel there is a requirement, then you can message me in the comment section as well. I'll be able to read it. Actually, everyone, let's talk about this area. If you're preparing for CAIIB, what you need to do is go into the area of CAIIB June 2024. At this point of time, our resolution batch is also out, as well as our CAIIB Mahapack is also available. What can we do right now, everyone, when we talk about this area? These are all the batches, Nishchay and Sankalp batches. Our resolution batch is also here. Resolution batch means all the 4 subjects, not the elective, but the 4 subjects. You have test series, you have ebooks, you have 400 hours of live classes. Just click on the area of buy now, use the code Y541, and as soon as you will apply it, you will get 80% discount. Why 80%? Use the app, you will get this 80%. So the code you can use is Y541, and you will be able to get it for 5039, and the validity is for 6 months. So if you're planning to buy this particular batch, then hurry up and buy it as early as possible, so that you can prepare properly. And my ABFM batch has recently started. That means you can review that particular batch. BFM has recently started as well for you, so go ahead and check it out, the classes there, and enroll yourself as early as possible, as the time is ticking away. So I'll be meeting you in the next class, and happy Lodi, everyone. We'll be meeting on Monday at 7 a.m.